back. Another Tech Tip Tuesday video in our summer series here. And we just want to remind everybody about our giveaway. So we've got one winner who's going to get a set of Joey's bowstrings and cables for their setup, whatever bow that happens to be. And then one winner is going to get their pick of broadheads from Vantage Point Archery. Make sure you head on over, check both of them out. Make sure you follow them on Instagram. All that stuff is in the description. And then make sure you like and comment on every single one of these videos in this series. So if you're just getting in on this series, make sure you go back and watch the other episodes, and then watch every episode after this through the end of September. Everybody that has liked and commented on the videos, as well as subscribed to our channel, followed us on Instagram, followed VPA and Joey's Bowstrings on Instagram, they're going to be entered to win. So make sure you don't miss a single episode.
Whenever you're ready.
You rolling?
Mm-hmm.
Mic on?
Mm-hmm.
How's my hair look?
Gray.
How's my beard look?
Gray.
It's very crazy. Jessica keeps yelling at me about it. She's like, are you going to trim that?
Nope.
She's like, it's very... Hey folks, welcome back to another Tech Tip Tuesday video from Old Breed Outdoors. What we're going to go over today is kind of like the basics of saddle shooting. I'll go over a few details of what I like to do when I set up my tree with the saddle, and then some shooting positions from the saddle, which is one of the key things about using a saddle is beyond the mobility, but the 360-degree shooting capability that it gives you versus a hang-on stand. Yes, you can use a hang-on stand to get some pretty good, shooting angles, but by and large, in my experience, the saddle just gives you a lot better opportunity. So first thing, get up in the tree using whatever sticks or platform you want to use, and whatever saddle type of setup you want to use. I personally am using the tethered saddle. Chris and I are both using the Pursuit platforms, Saddle Hunter platform. It's great. It's a lightweight, and we'll have a review coming out on that in the future. But that's my basic setup. And then once I get up in the tree, I try to keep it very minimalist. So I have a strap, a tree strap. I'll have my bow hanger on there. I just use a Hero clip. They're very versatile and it works perfect for hanging my bow. I always put it on my non-dominant hand so I can just reach out and grab it, pull it off the hanger, and I'm ready to go. Other than that, I'll have my bino harness with my binos and my rangefinder in it, set up on my dominant side, so I can just reach over and grab that. And typically around the side of the tree, because I don't need to be able to get to it very often, and hopefully not at all, but is my quiver with my extra arrows. So I'll put that back over here on the other side. My primary shooting area is right here off to my non-dominant side. But then I can also, which is why I have the bow on that side and the quiver on the other side. So in the saddle here, the way I set it up is I put my tether up here at the, roughly, like when I'm leaning back, I want that to be roughly at eye height. Maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, depending on the tree, but that's typically how I set mine up. This is a pretty small tree, so what I'll do is I'll pull that excess tether through here onto my bridge loop, or my lineman's loop here, and I'll just put the excess through here. The same thing I do, I tie off like the excess on my bridge, I tie that off on this loop as well. That way it's behind me and out of the way. And if I really needed to, with this being so long and I don't want it dangling, I can just ball this up and put it in my pouch if I need to. But then it's kind of out of the way, and if I need to extend lower, I can, and it's not bunched up. It also keeps it away from the steps, which if you've been saddle hunting, you know how much all this stuff gets hung up in the steps. That's the basic setup for getting in the tree. Now, I'm setting that up based on my primary, what I expect the primary avenue of approach for the deer to be. And in this case, I'm gonna, if I'm standing in a tree like this, you think about it like I'm standing on the ground. How am I going to present my bow to the target if I was standing shoulder width apart on the ground? And it's going to be like this, right? I want that comfort here to be the same way. I don't want to have to be twisted all around. Again, you can do all those things, but I want my expected primary avenue approach to be the most stable, most comfortable position possible. For me, I'm going to set up just like I'm sitting on the ground so that when I draw my bow back, I'm like this. Obviously it's going to be down, but this affords me the most freedom with both arms, and I'm not twisted all in kind of weird way, having to use other muscles to hold myself. The body is already under tension when you're pulling a bow back and shooting a bow. I don't want to create additional tension if I don't have to. So in this case, I've got target right here, and I'm gonna have to lean back a little bit because I got a branch here, but that's good. I want this branch here. I don't want to have to trim things if I don't have to. In this case, I can shoot right around this branch, leaning, and I'm basically vertical, leaning back in the saddle right now like this. So that's where I want my primary to go. And then I would say for a secondary avenue of approach is going to be this shot back here, because that is the easiest shot, I think, to turn into. It doesn't require a lot of extra movement and action on my part to get in that position. So I can grab my bow and just easily turn like this. And again, and that's another reason I like to have the tether down around eye height and not up here, because it keeps it away from my elbow. Make sure this area here with branches is clear, and obviously nothing's gonna be back here by and large. Depending on the tree you're in, you may have to trim a couple things. I think those are the two best: primary and then your alternate avenue of approach. The other two really is being able to come over on this side. That, I would say, is probably the least preferable, because the fact I have to get my bow up and over, that's a lot of movement. But if you got a deer coming from that direction and you got plenty of time, it's not that big a deal. But that's as simple as just adjusting your feet a little bit, turning your hips in the saddle to come over on this side of the tree and shoot. I can do the same thing on the other side here. You may have to put your knee in to the tree and swing around. Something I forgot to mention too, and that really helps on this knot, especially for this movement, is having the loop coming around from a clockwise direction on the tree. So you can see how I have the loop comes around clockwise direction, come back through this way. I feel that provides the best tension, especially when you're coming around, and having it over here when I swing around the tree using my legs. That helps support me, and I can get down here. Just grip using my legs to grip. You can put in a bigger tree, just put your knees in. But in a small tree, I can just grip my legs and I can shoot down this side. All right, for shooting from the primary, so I got a deer coming right over here to my left in my shooting window. See him coming, I can just pull my bow off, get all set up. Get eaten by a fly. So as you can see, that was pretty easy. I mean, just pull it off. I'm right here, draw, shoot. And I'm not real high up in the tree right here either. And that's honestly, like, this kind of hunting, you don't really need to get super high. It really just depends on what the brush is down below the tree. You have to get above that to be able to get your shoot angle down into your avenue of approach. You have this whole side that you can shoot, which is really nice. And I'll show you how little movement it really requires. So if that deer's coming in a little bit farther to my left, I can just take a slight turn that easy. Again, that's the beauty of this, very little movement whatsoever. Not that you couldn't do that in a hang-on stand, but this does afford you a little bit better opportunity to get set up on a deer. Okay, so shooting to the rear, you have two options. So I can swing all the way around like this and shoot, which really isn't that bad. So I can just turn my hips in the saddle, lean over a little bit, one of the other beauties of the saddle setup here is I can turn all the way around if I so desire. So in this case, I can just pull myself up on the tree here, loosen up my tether, and I'm going to turn around put the tether over my left shoulder and then tighten it back up a little bit. So here, now I've got this over my left shoulder and I'm facing backwards. And I can lean into this. So I can turn my hips up against the tree and turn back this way if I need to. I can shoot straight out if I need to just by a little bit of turn, but I can shoot this way really easy. And you can see how now it comes across this side, and obviously I would have to trim up some limbs on this tree, but I can come out like this, and this is super comfortable, just like this. And I can lean farther back all the way across, and the tether's holding me. When I'm shooting, regardless of where I'm shooting, which direction I'm shooting, I'm drawing just like I'm drawing if I'm standing on the ground shooting at a target, on level ground. And my feet placement is going to be the same for the most part on the platform as it will be on the ground. The only difference is going to be, we've got the platform level with the sticks. If I'm going farther back to my left, I may have to swing over and stand on that step, use that as another part of the platform. But still, as long as your feet are stable and you have a good solid footing, that's really all that matters. You're going to have to do so. It's just like shooting from uneven ground, which we showed you in a previous video. So if you haven't watched that one, go check that out. But on drawing, same thing. I'm just going to draw like I normally would, come back, get my anchor, and then I'm going to adjust for the angle. Something else that's really nice about the saddle is being able to adjust. I can kind of sit down, lean up against a tree. It shows you kind of stand backwards. The nice thing about it is that if you're doing an all-day sit, if you're standing here all day, your legs are going to get tired, your feet are going to get tired, and you're going to want to try and move around to relax. So you can already, sitting in the saddle here, you can kind of flex your knees and to get some blood flowing. But the nice thing is I can just loosen up my tether and I can just sit right down. So in this case, smaller tree, I can just kind of put my hips up against I can put my thighs up against the tree here and just kind of relax a little bit. And this is super comfortable. For a guy like me who's got some back problems and some feet and ankle problems, it's nice to be able to kind of do this. You see here like this, I can just let go, hold on to the tree, whatever. But this is pretty comfortable just to sit here for a little bit, just to kind of get a different angle. Me, I like to just have a pad up against the tree, or like buddies of ours have those knee pads that you put on the outside of your pants, and they work pretty good. The nice thing about those ones on the knees is that they grip the tree better, and especially when if you're swinging around the side of the tree, you can kind of dig into the tree with the rubber material on those things. It's like a tire grabbing onto the tree. The other thing is nice about doing this too is adjusting the length on the tether. I can lean back farther out of the tree and I can shoot from this position just as well. So if I have a bunch of branches right here, I can be tucked up in here like this, and a deer comes in maybe a little bit shallow for the tree branch. You just come up and down and lean out and shoot. Now with your hips, so you're sitting in the saddle and you got the bridge here, I keep mine a little short so it doesn't give me a whole lot of movement, but I can just, it doesn't take much, but I can lean back. If I need to get over here, I can lean back and turn my hips just like that, and then get into a little bit better position. Because ideally, again, I want to be in a position where at least my upper torso is set up just like I would be shooting from the ground. So I'm going to be able to draw back parallel. I don't want to have to be torquing my shoulders around, because you're not going to get a stable shot, well-aimed shot. So by turning my hips just a little bit, I can get my upper torso in the position I need it to be in. Your lower part of your body may be a little contorted, but as long as it's stable and comfortable, you'll be okay. The saddle will hold your hips and your core to make the rest of you stable. And the same thing going the other direction. I can just turn my hips a little bit to give myself a little bit more movement and still keep my upper body where I need it to be. Yeah, it gives you a lot more opportunities, whereas like shooting out of a platform, hang-on platform, you may not have that ability. Yes, you have your harness and you've got your safety strap, but it's not really designed for leaning out of a tree like the tether is. It's not comfortable. I would prefer to use this. And quite frankly, I'm probably going to I have done this as well, is on a hang-on, I'm going to use my saddle and my tether out of a hang-on just like I would like this. I'll just set it up so that it's sitting over my shoulder, like I showed you if I lean up against a tree. I'm going to set up just like that. And I can shoot sitting down, in the platform, or I can stand up in the platform and shoot, but then I can also turn around on that platform and do all the same things I'm doing right now. That's one nice thing. So if you have a setup at at the farm at my dad's place, we have some platforms set up there. We can just go up there with this setup if we wanted to and do the same exact thing out of those trees that we have those in. And then you don't have to worry about carrying the stand in, because it's in a place, it's a pre-established stand. So there you have it. That's kind of the down low on saddle, shooting from a saddle and setting up your tree. Just the basics, nothing crazy. That being said, if there's stuff that we talked about today that you want a little bit more clarity on, drop it in the comments, let us know, and we'll be happy to address those things. If there's something we didn't address that you have questions about, same thing, drop a comment and hit us up, and we'll address those as well. And if it's something that we can just do a quick video on and get that out for you guys, we'll be happy to do that. So, just trying to give people some good information and some good tips from what we've experienced over the last few years of doing this saddle hunting thing. Appreciate you guys watching. Come back and watch us again. Don't forget, we got the giveaway going on, so make sure you guys go watching all the videos and checking us out on Instagram and checking out our awesome sponsors, Joey's Bowstrings and Vantage Point Archery. So as always, thanks guys. We'll see you on the next video.